Welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial you are going to learn about PHP loops. So another principle for every programming language is to understand how loops work, and therefore we said in our previous tutorial that every time we talk about the loop means that there is some code blocks that needs to repeat themselves during the program execution, and therefore in order for you to be able to do that you need to have the knowledge of how the loops work. Now in this particular segment we're going to discuss types of loops, and also we'll be able to discuss about the examples of programs that have been written so that you can be able to run the loops statement. Now the first loop statement that we're going to look at is what we call the while loop. So when you talk about the while loop is that it executes a block of code repeatedly as long as the specified condition remains true. So long as the condition remains true, that particular code block it will continuously being repeatedly executed until when that condition turns to be false. The moment it turns to be false, then that particular loop will come to an end. But it is also referred to as a precondition statement, because the condition is checked before the code block is executed. So the condition needs to be checked first before anything can be executed in this particular while loop. Then when you talk about the do while does things in a different or in an opposite way a little bit, because with the do while is that you are guaranteed as a programmer that the program will run at least once. So this implies that the condition is checked after the program has executed at least once. So it is also referred to as a post condition statement, because the condition is checked after the program has executed at least one statement, of which that is what brings in the word do. So you do first and then you check the condition in the while part. So we'll have an example of the same to give you the feel of how this works. And then we go to the loops, the for loops. So when we talk about the for loops has got a number of components. The first component of a loop statement is that a for loop is that it needs initialization. So when we talk about the installation, this is whereby a variable is declared to start the loop counter. So you need to show us where the loop is supposed to start from. Is it from 0? Is it from 1? So you need to give us specifically where you want the loop to start from, and then from that you need to give us the condition. Now the program will continue to execute, or the program will repeatedly execute as long as the condition remains to be true. But the moment the conditions turn to be false, then the program will stop to execute. Now the increment basically is to say that whereby this particular program will keep on increasing by 1 or decreasing by 1. Increment stroke decrement. So this means that every time you loop through, it will add by 1, it will add by 1, it will add by 1, until when you reach to your condition in this particular case. Now the last one is what you call the for each. A for each basically is used in when you want to go through elements that are there in an array. So it executes a block of code when each element found the array until it runs out. So this one is dependent with how many items you have in your array. So if you have 20 items, you require the for each to go through these particular elements 20 times. So that is what for each is all about. Now when we have maybe an example, we can have one example of a while loop. So we can just say that we have the initial value to be $x. $x is equal to 1. For example, that is the initial value. Okay, then we just check the condition and say that while $x is less than or equal to 5, then you open the curly bracket and then you just say that echo into bracket the value of x, the value of x is, then full colon, and then you can just put a dot, and then you say $x, then you also put a dot, and then you say break. So what is happening in this particular statement here? Basically, a dot, as we earlier looked at in the basic PHP basics, we said that this dot are used for concatenation. You use it for concatenation. Yeah. So that's why we are saying that we are concatenating this statement, which is a string, with this statement that is here. Yeah. So if I run this, I should be able to get the outputs that I need. So when I run this, you can see it is giving me a multiple number of times that particular program keep on running. So I think there is a problem somewhere, so we need to fix it here. Yeah, you come here, because it is going to continue until infinity. So we just want to make some changes here. We need to add the increment. We need to add the increment here. So you just say $, just say x plus plus, $x plus plus. So it increments that particular value once every time it goes through. So when you do this and then we just refresh our page, you should be able to get it running only 5 times. Okay. So it is loading. Yeah. So you can see that increment has really helped us to solve the problem, because initially it was not placed. So that's why it was giving us a multiple number of times, because there is no increment. But now that you've specified the increment, that's why you can only be able to get the 5 values that you have been given. Yeah. Now, this particular code that you have written in the while loop, it can also be rewritten. This particular program can be rewritten in the do while. The only thing that you need to change is the syntax. So the syntax in this case, you have to declare the initial value at the top there. You can just say x is equal to 1. So that's the initial value. Then you just write the word do, and then you open the curly bracket. Inside there you just say echo, and then tell us what you want to execute. So you can just execute the same statement. You can just say the value of x, is that. Yeah, the value of x is that, and then you just put the dot, then you just say x, then the space again, the dot, and then you can just say br stroke x, stroke that closing angle bracket. Yeah, then you need to end with a semicolon, and then you also need to increment. Yeah, increment. So $, then you can say x plus plus, and then now you need to write the while here. So you need to check the condition now. So you can just check the condition and say that as long as x is less than or equal to 5. Yeah, as long as x is less than or equal to 5, then keep executing. So if I run this program, you'll realize that you'll get the same feedback as the one displayed above. You can see the same feedback has been displayed here using the do while. So one thing that I wanted you to note in this case is that every time you talk about the do, you are expected to execute at least once. Yeah. So if I want to check if this condition is actually true, I can be able to change this particular condition maybe to be greater than 5. Just want to confirm if actually it's going to give me at least one output. So if I save this and then I just go here and then I do that, you can see it gives me at least one output, despite the fact that the condition is false. The condition is false because they are saying that 1 is greater than or equal to 5, that condition is false, but it's going to give me at least an output, at least 1 in this particular case. Yeah. Now going further, we can rewrite the same program using the for loop. Remember we talked about the for loop, and we said that the for loop has got 3 main components. It has got the initialization, the condition, and then it has got the increment stroke the decrement. So I can rewrite this program very simply and say that I can just say that $x is equal to 1, and then you can just say as long as the $x is less than or equal to 5, yeah, and then you can just say $x plus plus. Okay, then after doing that, you just say echo. They say that the value of x is, then you put there the full column, then you close the double quotation, and then you just put the dot for concatenation, and then you say $x, yeah, then you put the space again, and then you just say break, like that, and then you put the semicolon at the end, So if I run this particular code, it should be able to give me the same output as the other one. So if I do that, and then I go to my browser, then I refresh, you can see it is giving me the same output, 5 numbers. The value of x is 1, the value of x is 2, the value of x is 3, 4, and then 5. Yeah, so that is how you can be able to rewrite the same program using 3 different loop types. We have got the while loop, we have the do while, and then you have the for loop. Now the last one, we have said that for each is used mainly in the array environment, whereby it allows you to go through, it allows you to repeatedly execute the array elements. Now in this case, we are going to create a very simple array. So we are going to call our array foods. Yeah, so that is our array called foods, and then we are going to initialize those array values. So we are going to say the first one is cereals. Yeah, then you can just put the second one there. You can say the second one is salad. Okay, then you can have the third one. You can just say cuckoo, for example. This is another food there. Then you can just put another one and just say a chai. Yeah, or maybe chai is not food. You can say maybe chips. Okay, so after doing that, after initializing those values, you just put the semicolon at the end, you press enter, and then after that you just write the word for each array element. Do what? Repeatedly execute them. Now in this case, specify the array name as what? The array name. Yeah. So if you do that, and then you just echo, and then you just say $foods, foods. Yeah, you can just say $foods. Okay, so it's not food, it's supposed to be food, and then here it's also supposed to be food. That's why we are saying as the array element, you are going to execute it as food. Okay, that's why we are echoing food. Yeah, so that's why we need to use that particular terminology there. Make sure that you have break. Yeah, make sure you have the break statement there, and then you can just save this and then try to run it if you're going to get the same feedback. Yeah, so if I go to my browser, and then I run it, you can see it is giving me all the meals, or all the foods that I've been able to state in my array through this particular statement of for each. So for each, and then you say the array name, and then you give us the way you want it to be to be executed using the word food, as food. Okay, and then after that you echo the food. Now every time it goes through this iteratively, it is going to give us each and every element that has been inserted in our array. So those are some of the loop statements that you need to know. We have talked about the do while, we have talked about the while loop, we have talked about the for loop, and then talked about the for each loops. Thank you so much for listening, and bye bye for now.